Hello everyone, it's Monday again. This is my the end of my first week of retirement, and I've been busy traveling and wrapping up some things, and so here I am going to do a video with you again. It's a little bit late on Monday, but we'll get it done. So this is a stamp by Northwoods, and I thought it was a nice fall stamp. It could be used for either fall or Halloween, so I thought we would color that today. So I got just a piece of cardstock. I used a piece of stamping paper in my practice, and I found that I didn't really like it because the colors weren't true. They just faded out. So that was my practice, and so on stamping paper. So now this is going to be on just regular cardstock. So I'm going to emboss my stamp on the cardstock. So I want to make sure that I get embossing ink all over it. So I'm just really making sure that I cover this well. There's a lot of detail lines in this stamp, and I want to make sure that the entire stamp image gets to the paper. So I am doing this kind of overkill. Looks pretty wet to me, so let's hope. I'm going to put the paper right down on top of my stamp, hold on to it with one hand, and rub the image lines with the other, making sure that my paper is stationary so I don't get double lines or anything like that. But with this much detail and this large of a stamp, this is the best way to get the full image, and then lift it straight up, and we got a good image. Okay, so now I'm using Black Glint embossing powder, and it's from Wow. So I'm going to put that onto my image. And I don't think I have enough, so I'm going to do it again. In fact, I'm just going to pour that all right on there, and then pick up my image and get it. Okay, that's better. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way. Now I got some of this all over my markers, of course, messy. So I'm going to clean up just a little bit and then be right back. Take a brush and clean up a little bit around the edges, and I see that I just whipped a little bit off where I shouldn't, so I'm just gonna pour a little bit back on. Okay. This is shaping up to be one of those Mondays where I'm going to be fixing mistakes all day. Okay, so now I'm going to heat it. Okay, now I did shorten the video so that you didn't have to watch me do all of the melting of the powder, but it did take me about a complete 5 minutes to do that. And I still have a few areas where I feel like it's just not as nice as it should be, or as thick as it should be. So I have a Versamark marker, and what I can do is I can come back and I can draw right there where I feel that it's too thin, and some places right up here too, and here, and maybe here. Now I can come back with my embossing powder and those places will be filled in a little better. And if you get it a little too thick, then very carefully use your brush. So let me melt those areas, and then we'll get started coloring. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, so I don't want this to be just a white piece of paper. So I'm going to put out, get rid of those things, I'm going to put out some distress stains. And I'm going to start with Squeeze Lemonade. It's very light yellow, and I want to have a light area, so I'm going to put that on first. I'm going to squeeze some out on my craft sheet, and I'm going to put my paper right into it. Okay, and get some yellow everywhere. If I don't have enough, I just have to put some more out. Now, I probably could also have sprayed some water on my craft sheet as well, but I can do it now. So back over, and I've got my yellow. I've also got a lot of little embossing powder crystals on there because my craft sheet got dirty, so you want to try not to get your craft sheet dirty. I'm just going to go ahead and apply that right there because I want a brighter yellow. So let's just try it that way. And then I'm going to come in with spiced marmalade and put some of that on. And last but not least, ripe persimmons. So as you see, we're starting from lighter to darker. Now I'm going to spray that a little. And I want some of this darker to run into the light, so I'm just going to move it around a little bit. But as you see, I still have that lightness behind because these stains are transparent. So now I'm just going to blot. And that took off too much, didn't it? Okay. This is Cover Your Mistakes Day. So let's go back and repeat that process. Okay, a little bit of a spritz, just a little bit. And now I'm going to dry that. I'm not going to blot it, I'm going to dry it. Now during the process of drying, I patted on a little bit more of the ripe persimmons here and there where I felt like I needed some more depth, some more dark. So now I'm going to take Gathered Twigs Distress ink, and I'm going to edge paper with that. Now the reason for embossing was to not lose the detail of the stamp while I did the staining. And now I'm going to take some distress markers and a water brush and put some more detail in. So I want to, I want to put gathered twigs here on the stem, but I'm going to use my water brush to blend some of that out of the middle. Now I'm not squeezing on my brush, I'm just merely using the water that's in the brush and pulling it out of the middle. And then I'm going to use the fine end to establish these vines that are coming from that. Now because it's embossed, you know, you're going right over that embossing, so it's not going to make a lot of difference, but I think that it just helps to give it a finished look. And I also used that fine point to kind of go over some of the lines there. Okay, and then we have some green vines, so I'm using forest moss, and so I'm going to color in those vines. And I've got another one, oh, right here. And I'm going to draw a little curlicue on that one. And then I have one down here. Okay. Now with the leaves, I'm going to do the same way that I did with the stains. I'm going to start out with a light green, using Shabby Shutters. And I'm just going to kind of color right in the center of it. And then I'm going to go to forest moss and come out around here, around the edges. I'm just basically scribbling because now I'm going to use my water brush and I'm going to come in and spread those colors and blend them together. Okay. Here's my light. And my dark. And my blend. The more you blend, the more you can have some light areas. You can just push that ink back out of there. I've got my paper a little bit wet, really too wet, so it's kind of pilling a little. And I'm going to take some ripe persimmon and just tap here and there in those green leaves so that we can get some color variation in it. Because I've gotten it too wet to allow what I have behind it to show through. Okay, that one turned out pretty good. These are kind of wiped out looking, so I'm just gonna put a little more of the orange in there. Tap around. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I might go back in with some more green. We'll see. So I want to get to the pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take wild honey, and I'm going to put that in the center, and then I'm going to use ripe persimmon right here and right here, and I'm going to use my brush to blend those. And then I'm going to use Rusty Hinge down here and up here. I'm going to pull. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave out, again, this is Fix Your Mistakes Day, I'm going to leave out that wild honey because I like what I've already got in there. So let's just go straight to the ripe persimmon. On top and bottom. And softly blend. Much better. We'll have to see what we can do about that. These colors get lighter as they dry, so maybe that center panel won't be ruined. Well, it's a little better, and I would like not to have that honey in there, wild honey in there, but it's there, so we'll just make the best of it. And then the last I'm going to use is Rusty Hinge, and I'm just going to put that down here on the bottoms. Blend it out. And then on the tops. Now I also need to color the ribbing with this Rusty Hinge. Okay. And then soften that line. Okay. Now, let's dry this. I'm going to put a little more rusty hinge up here where it's just black. Okay. And now let's see if we can do something with the leaves where I kind of messed them up. I'm going to draw their veins back in with my black soot marker. To help define them again. And that looks a little better. Okay, now what I'm going to do the last little bit is I'm going to use some stickles. And I'm using Shabby Shutters. And I'm just going to put some on my finger. This is Shabby Shutters Distress Stickles. And I'm just going to tap in so that I can get a little bit of sparkle. That's a little too much. Okay. And I have some forest moss, so I think I might put a little bit right here. Good thing I moved because it surprises me a lot. I'm just going to tap a little on my finger and put it there. Let's take a little bit of it and put it down here also in that shadow area. And I'm taking regular stickles in orange peel. I'm going to outline the ribs of the pumpkin. Okay. Let's come all the way up here. And when that dries down, then you'll have a nice sparkle on the ribs once that glue dries down on it. So then what you want to do, well, I like to fold up my edges, things like that, but if I'm doing that, then I'm going to need to darken the edges that are coming up, so I can take my gathered twigs and do that. In fact, I could think it would be better. I can't turn this over right now because of the wet stickles, but you can just also take your marker and color those corners with your marker. Okay, and then I'm going to curl them around the round edge. And then you can put that on a card and have a greeting. So there's a video with that stamp today. And the only other thing I want to show you today is, remember last week I showed you the Martha Stewart mold, and I used some paper clay in it, and I did two of these, and the better one is the one that's lost this morning. I think maybe one of my cats carried it off or something. It's just not here. But I thought, let's do some work on that real quick. I got some black soot distress paint, And I'm going to cover it with that. Oh my goodness, it lost a finger. This is Monday for sure. Well, I'm not going to try and get in the middle of all those because I'll knock all the rest of the fingers off. So next I have some pewter distress paint. And the whole cover come off of that one. No problem, I have paintbrushes. Probably what I should have used to begin with. So let's brush some pewter on top of that, broken finger and all. And I can get down in the insides with the paintbrush. Yep, that's what I should have done to begin with. Okay, figure out what's going on with that later. And then I think let's use some antique bronze and see what that would do. That adds a nice dimension to my bony hand. And finger. Bony hand and finger. When that's dry, I'll glue it back on. Okay, so there we go. That's our video for today, and I will see you next Monday. Have a good week.